Welcome, everyone, to a bonus episode of National Knockout Classics. If you can hear a bit of laughter in the background, that is most likely because I have no idea where this episode is going to go. Taking a little bit of a deviation from the normal path. And today we're going to talk about captaincy. So, obviously, we've looked at a lot of great National Knockout games in the last 7 weeks. By this point, we're all out of lockdown or close to it anyway. We are recording this podcast on April the 23rd, so just had that new 3-week restriction put in place, and hopefully it hasn't lasted too long. If you haven't listened to the first 7 episodes, if you want to have a look, they're all linked onto the YouTube channel, and hopefully it will be on SoundCloud by the time you're listening to this as well. And just a reminder, a lot of hard work and effort's gone into making this show. If you've enjoyed it, there is a Just Giving page, which I'll put a link to at the bottom of this video, where if you would like to donate a few pounds to a very good cause, it's all in the aid of mind.org, which is a mental health charity, which is close to my heart. So anyway, moving on, I shouldn't have had video on this chat really, should I? We've got 3 very special guests for you. In the spirit of captaincy, I have the 2016 West of England Premier League captain, Lloyd Davis. How are you, mate?
Good evening. Thanks, Robin, for inviting me on.
You're welcome. I have 2017 Liverpool winning captain as well, JC. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, thank you, Robin. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. And also, thanks for coming on, Mounty. You all right?
No worries, mate. Cheers. Yeah, very good.
We're going to talk a bit about captaincy today, and I think anyone that hasn't done the job of trying to captain, particularly a first team with aspiration, is that it can be a very, very tricky job. It can take over your life. Speaking as the most recent title winner, JC, did you always feel like you wanted to be captain of Bath?
Yeah, I think so, mate. From watching teams of the past growing up, obviously I've been at the club for a long time. I think I started when I was, 10, 11. So watching the likes of Greg Brown and Willie Murray and people like that out on the field on a Saturday, I always aspired to one day be out there, and then, not really thinking about the captaincy, but as I guess some of my mates have done it, likes of yourself and Statey and Thorby and JB and Lloyd, I thought, why not? I'd love to have a go.
And Lloyd, you took over from me in 2014. I guess your journey from Timsbury sort of started might not have led you to the Bath captaincy. You might not have thought that would have been something you'd end up doing. Was it an honour to take over the reins in 2014?
Yeah, I probably agree with that, Robin. It certainly wasn't on my radar when I joined the club. The first impressions or first sort of direction I wanted to go was to prove myself as a player more than anything, and justify my selection in the first team. And that snowballed over a number of seasons, and it just sort of fitted the bill, I guess, as the person who'd been around the change room the right amount of time, got on with the majority of the players, and when I was asked, I just jumped at the opportunity to do it. So yeah.
And Ranger, you have the job at the moment, mate. You kind of had to wait a year at the start, but I know that it was something that you kind of held in quite high regard there, didn't you? Into that first season.
Yeah, definitely. Similar to JC, I was at the club when I was sort of 6 or 7, watching guys like Willie Murray, and then came up, obviously played under U3 and people like Statey. So it was always something that I thought longer term, I'd love to move up to. And I guess the timing of it really was, it came with people like yourself and Lloydie and JC as well, sort of moving on. So it was a bit of a newer time for the team, a lot of younger people, which helped for me, to be honest.
Yeah, I kind of, I would sort of say, similar to that. I kind of wanted the job in in 2009 when Thorby gave it up, and it sort of went to a vote, and Statey got it, and God he did, because to be honest, he was a much better captain than I ever was. But I was quite lucky.
Massive ears.
I anyone with massive. I don't know what you're looking for, David.
Yeah.
Mine are smaller than Stacey, so happy days.
Well, I think we maybe go down the Ben Staunton route and get the measuring tape out maybe at the next player stuff. I had a bit of a taste of the captaincy in the national in that 09 season we spoke about with AK in the first episode. You had a similar experience, did you, Stacey, down in
I did. Yeah. Where were you? You were off.
I was on
somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That was, yeah. Well, we'll get back to that. But I mean, tell us about that, because that was a big game. You know, captaining the club for the first time. I mean,
I remember the Saturday we had a tough game at Bristol away, and I think there are quite a few people missing. I can't really remember, to be honest. But somebody played. Oh, in fact, it was your Froome teammate Reece Croker played an absolute gem of an innings at Bristol. And we managed to, I think we fielded and batted and bowled really, really well and scraped a victory. And that kind of took the momentum into going blooming 6.5 hours to Warrington, which was in the middle of nowhere, incredible ground. But and the hottest day. Lloyd, you were definitely. Actually, Ranger, you opened the bowling, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you're wondering. I've got it in front of me, James.
I reckon Letty probably phoned me saying, make sure Mountie doesn't bowl.
I would.
But I remember it was
to be fair, mate, I think
the hottest day of the year. It was so hot, and there was one tiny little tree in the corner with any shade, which Lloyd and Mountie were fighting over in the field. It was quite a good game, wasn't it?
It was a good game.
Yeah.
So
Bristol, that game on the Saturday was.
What are you saying, Mountie? I lost you.
You got me. The Bristol. I remember that Bristol game quite well because I remember JC. I think it was the first time he did it. We had loads missing, and it was an absolute belter of a deck. And it was one of those days where you knew you had a few people missing, and everyone went nuts in the field. I think we had maybe 3 run-outs towards the end, and we just somehow pulled it back. And then going into that Sunday. We had another good win. Yeah, I think me and Lloydie came back very pink.
And Lloydie, you had a probably slightly different experience in terms of your first game captaining inside in the national. Do you remember where that was?
No idea, Robin.
Tell me. Hey, that was the first time we ever went to the postage stamp of the cricket ground. That is Potter and CC.
Gosh.
Oh God, yeah.
We didn't get very many runs, and they got them pretty easily. But I remember we turned up to that game very much like the big time Charlies and got turned over. Wasn't there there'd been a wedding or something the day before, and everyone was a bit wobbly or whatever. But yeah, not probably the best start, but a good first season for you though, wasn't it, in 2014?
Are we talking about for the National Cup? Well, no, because we lost the pot.
I mean overall, in general, in terms of captaincy, you always want to set your stall out for the league. But I mean, obviously going into the last game that year.
We'd done pretty well with a fairly young side to be in the hunt and in the mix with Foster going into that very last game. And they outplayed us at their place on that last day, which always hurt. There's always been a bit of a personal battle with myself and the Foster boys and their captain. And I would have loved to have won that in my first season. They then won the league again the following season, which stung a bit. And then finally in my third season managed to get us over the line and be a winning captain, which meant the world. But yeah, the first season was one of those one of those ones where you don't really know what you're putting yourself up for as captain of the club, but it does take over. You're constantly
I
thinking.
mean, it does funny things to you. I mean, I remember being very conscious of wanting to win the league, or not being the guy who breaks the link in the chain. It goes all the way back to 91, I think it is. And it's just funny things to me. I mean, I remember there was one game in 2013 where we turned over at home against Gloucester, and we got up to the changing room afterwards. And I remember, doing that thing where you start like abusing everyone. It's you effing this, you effing that. You don't want to play for the club, whatever. And I remember saying, "You captain yourselves next week," and storming out of the changing room, like back with my kit bag, flying to find my club behind Ken Bailey's on the
I remember that so well.
To the clubhouse and asked Ken Bailey in my nice, private, please, Ken. JC, you sort of, I guess you never had to deal with that sort of heartbreak, but I mean, for you, was there much of a mental breakdown? I mean, I suppose you sort of broke down mentally quite a lot of it is. But
say it, mate. Say that again. You broke up then.
Was there any kind of mental breakdown for you? Your season of smooth sailing?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I guess I didn't get. I did really enjoy it, but and yeah, it's a tough gig. It's a tough job. I found it hard because I think I had such a great pool of players to choose from that selection every single week was an absolute nightmare. Especially with George and Tim yo-yoing in and out of the side, injuries, but then there were just people performing in the second team. I guess that was the biggest headache, like rocking up every Wednesday or Tuesday whenever we did it, trying to get not only the best 11 out on the field, but also reward those guys that are doing well in the twos and whatnot. I think that was the biggest issue I had with it. But yeah, there's obviously you never like losing a game, and I think we were pretty confident beginning of the season, and then to lose, we lost. We nearly messed up the first league game of the season, and then we lost at home to Cleveland, and it was a bit of a reality check, I think. But after that, we hardly put a foot wrong, really. So
I think one thing that it's sort of captaincy is that when you captain stuff, most of the time you've got a pretty good side to be choosing from, but you quickly learn that in league cricket, the level where there's so many good sides, that you're never owed anything out there, are you? And you get found out pretty quickly if you don't have the right character. Mounty, just coming over to you, obviously seasons are strong, and you guys stood out to a lead with the sort of decimating everybody. I mean, what kind of challenges did you face on that run-in when things didn't go?
I think it was a bit of an unknown for me because the start of the season I was in a pretty clear headspace in terms of just cricket, because having missed the whole season, I didn't really think too much into the captaincy. I just wanted to get out and start playing, and then obviously probably a month out to be a couple of points off top. I think we're in a national quarter final and a national last 16. It's suddenly everything's shaping up really well, and then I think we went to, I think it was Penzance we lost to first, which to be fair was an unbelievable effort. We had a really young side, and to lose, we got beaten. I think Greg Smith got 60 odd not out. Luke Wells got 50 odd, both ex-pros. And we had a really young side, so everyone left that fairly positive. And then Nantwich was pretty comprehensive, to be fair. We got absolutely stuffed. And then I think that maybe a week after we lost in the league. And so it was a sort of knock-on effect, really. But, what I think everyone did take from that is, that although we weren't actually winning, the whole club was in a real good space from a sort of culture point of view. And a lot of people said that. I think from my point of view, although I might have set out to win the league or whatever, a lot of people said, although we didn't actually win that, the club felt in a good sort of state and everyone seemed to be bought in. So, hopefully, well, we were hoping that would lead on to this year, but maybe that'll have to wait.
There was a challenge of a very different kind that popped up for you last year. And I'm really keen to get your take on this from a captaincy point of view. But when you are captaining your side in a T20 game and the opposition rack up 326, what's your thinking out there on the field as you're watching a bloke get 150 off 30 odd balls?
Go hard.
Oh, we've lost Mounty at the crucial moment. All right, we'll get him back in a sec.
There?
We'll come back over to you, JC, just quickly whilst we're waiting for Mounty to come back in because
he's back. He's
Hello?
back.
Yeah, we're back.
All right, we'll come
We're
back
back.
over in a sec. Go on, yes. We lost you. You're about to tell us your thinking as you're about to smack.
I think the only positive from that is I think my figures were 4 overs for 65, and I think those were one of the best figures actually out of the
injustice. 4 overs from 61.
Oh well, there we go. But I mean, to be fair, I know I bowled the first over, and Munsey kept switch hitting me. And we went through a few different bowling options, and I can't remember where it came from, but someone was like, right, just give Elaine a go. And for any of you who don't know Elaine doesn't bowl at all. And he normally bowls some little phantom, I don't know what they are. And Munsey just proceeded to hit him straight, then square, almost like one after another, 36 runs later.
You bowled him ahead of your 3 spinners. You bowled him ahead of Charlie Brain, Will Arney and Louis Brown.
Yeah, well, to be honest, mate, I don't know what the score was at that point, but I was a bit lost as to how. And I've not played much cricket with a white kookaburra, but I think so. Like a week after, we had the Scotland coaches had emailed Maxie. They spent like $2,500 on kookaburra balls that had either gone into the river or into the pavilion. Just from that weekend, it was carnage. And I think we went out. I think I don't know if it was that game. I think we got 200 plus, and we were absolutely chuffed with it. And scoring 200 and losing by over 100 and being really pleased with a result.
Who got the runs, Nancy?
I think a few people chipped in. I think I caught a few on that day.
Yeah, the only reason he's bringing that up is he got 90 off 36 balls. Well, what's that? 57 less off the same amount of balls that Munsey did. So it's not that crazy.
Yeah, he hits the ball. I'll tell you that.
JC, you've played a lot of cricket for Bath. You've scored a lot of runs. So what was your thinking behind batting yourself at like 9 and 10 in
Oh, well, I only did that, the last 2 games or something. In fact, it actually paid off at Bedminster away, where the day that we were going to win the league, if we won, well, I think we had a bit of a shocker.
Yeah, we did.
I remember Greg and George both getting out quite early, and then Rousey hung around for a bit, and then he got out, and then we had a standard collapse. And I think Benton was at 7. And I might have been at 9. I think Benton ended up getting 80 odd, and I had a poke at a few and got, I don't know, 30 odd. And Lloyd, did Lloyd get?
I reckon I was in with you at the end, wasn't I?
No, you were with Benton. Benton batted really well.
Wow.
But it worked that day, and then it worked against Potton as well. Although we lost that game, I think I only faced 3 balls or something, but. Most of them were boundaries. I don't know. I think that's again the lineup that we had that year. You could change it around every week, and it would be just as strong. I think Muchie might have started off batting at 7 or something in the first couple of games, or 6, and he could bat anywhere. So, so like Tommy Hanks and Lloyd, Mounty. I don't know, Mounty, we probably yo-yoed up and down the order, and it was just, we're a very lucky position to be in, really, to have that. And I thought, yeah, obviously I had a bang average season, so I thought, well, give some of the guys a bit of a go.
What do you think? What do you think? I'll open this up to all three of you. Maybe whoever chimes in first. What do you think's your kind of most difficult decision you've had to make as a bar? I think for me, just whilst we're thinking about, for me, I think the toughest thing I ever had to do was in Staunce's final year. Who's that? In Staunce's final year in 2012, we knew he was going off to Australia, and he hadn't scored a run. And 2 weeks before the end of the season, I remember having to ask him to drop down to twos, and it was horrendous. I think having that conversation with him, and in the end, he was all right. I think he sort of said, "Well, I'm not going to play," and then ultimately in the end, he ended up playing for twos, getting some runs, and got his swan song. But I don't know, Mounty, maybe we'll come to you first. What was your what's the tough decision you've had to make?
I think selection's always a tough one. I mean, I think it helped, obviously, having played under a lot of captains with me from a selection point of view. That to be fair, I think I've been dropped by all of you, actually. So, I mean, to be fair, Letty, I still remember. This is one that sticks out for me. I remember you calling me. I think it was in the first year that I'd come back to Bath, and it was the day before I was due to play in the uni final at Lords. And I remember you ringing me literally as we rocked up to Lords and being like, "Listen, mate, you're going to be in the twos on Saturday." And that was the night before we played it.
Cared too much, did you? If you're about to play at Lords?
Yeah, and I was like, okay, fair enough. And then we played the next day, and we're in the long room. Like, obviously, they put on a big thing afterwards, so started having a few beers. And you rang me again, and we're like, "Oh, listen, I've changed my mind again. You're back in the side, so don't go out. Don't go out tonight." I think I had to get a train back at about 8 a.m. to we played at Keynsham.
But you had I had to say that to you because earlier in the season, I spoke about this with Magsy on 2 weeks ago's episode, but I was talking about the game at Bristol when you turned up and got out your car. Were you like wiping chunks of sick off your steering wheel?
Yeah, I was hoping this wouldn't come up. To be fair,
I knew I had a bit of a rogue, I had a bit of a renegade. So I think maybe just a few stern words would leave me. Oh, I remember that game. I can't remember why you were out and then back in again. I do remember. I'd obviously made an error in terms of counting my overs. They needed
JC
the last over to JC.
Yeah,
like 4 men out at deep cow, and luckily the batter sort of hit into one of us.
I think you got a catch at deep mid wicket. You bowled some like rank slower ball, and the bloke slaps it straight to cow.
It'd been like a full toss or something. I think I'm pretty sure it down my throat. Yeah. So but go on. So from your point, like, was there one?
Do you know what? I don't think there was always one. I don't think there was one sort of decision. It was me and Muchie and Magsy sort of tried to outline to everyone at the start of the season that we got so many decent players that everyone's going to be dropped. So there are a couple of conversations with people that we had who, to be fair, deserved a spot in the first team. And just because of performances or people we had coming back in, they didn't get a go. So, I mean, that was, that's probably some of the tougher things that you've had to do. I mean, I think that decisions you make on the pitch, you can always reflect on them. Someday it could be the best decision. Other days, like at Penzance, made a couple of decisions which look horrendous now looking back on them, but at the time they look right. But that's hindsight. So I think the only real tough thing is selection, because ultimately people care about playing in the first team, and you have quite a big impact on that.
Lloydie, you wanted to come in, mate?
Yeah, interestingly, the only other time I was dropped in my playing days was by you, Robin. So thanks for that. And not only was I dropped to the seconds, I had a lovely afternoon down at the Wyvern.
You love playing there.
So that was a.
What's your problem?
Well, I'd normally score runs with you at the Wyvern whenever we played there in the ones, but I got up. So I remember slapping a rank long hop from the worst bowler I've ever faced. Cover like 3.
In the first over at the Wyvern 1 year, so.
So I learned the hard way from yourself, Robin. But it is the worst thing about being captain is having to drop your mates and the selection and losing sleep and worrying about watching boys at nets going really well and thinking, geez, I wasn't going to pick that guy for this weekend, but he's hitting the ball really well. A couple of selection decisions really do stand out in my mind. One is with Mounty at Roffey in the National Cup. And hindsight's amazing, isn't it? It was obviously a tough personal time for you there, Mounty. And I went with Seb instead of Mounty, and Seb won us a game with a bat. We got that's absolute luck. But that's one decision that went my way, but was really horrendous to have to make that call on the day. I think we travelled with 13 or 14 players, but it was always going to be between Seb and Mounty, and I went with Seb. And the other one, which still grinds me now, because I cast him as one of my best mates, one of the blokes I looked up to when I first joined the club, and I ultimately finished his days playing first team cricket, was I didn't select James Brown and I picked Harry Hankins for a couple of games at the back end of one season, and Brownie never got back in the first team. And so that, to me, someone as Brown and Thatcher probably deserved to see the season out and go and stop playing first team cricket on his own terms, but I took that away from him from a selection point of view, and I've apologised to him for it. And at the time I was just thinking, Harry's the future, he's going to take over my spot in the team, I'm going to be packing in soon, I need to get him some experience, and I went with Harry, and it's hey, Harry's a fantastic cricketer, but from dropping a mate's point of view and someone who I have the utmost respect for, that still hurts me now. So yeah, selection is the worst part of being a captain by mile.
Yeah.
Expensive.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, I'm just asking you if you've got anything to add, mate, to the.
No, I think both of them have covered it quite well. I think I had a hard decision every single week, and as Mounty said, I don't know if I dropped you, Mounty.
Yeah, you did.
I can't remember what happened. I remember having a conversation with you because then you went and scored 100, didn't you?
Yeah, but no, I think I've been, because they're all quite. I remember I got dropped by Letty at Lords. Lloyd, you dropped me when I was on holiday, and then JC, I think you dropped me when I just got back from holiday.
Okay. Yeah.
And I played at Bedminster.
Okay. Oh, it worked though, didn't it? You got 100.
Yeah.
And then yeah.
Great decision, JT.
Well, exactly.
Probably
Exactly.
Fully justified.
Probably no runs for the rest of the year, but that's all right.
I think touching on like Lloyd's point with JB and Harry Hankins, I think obviously like we are lucky with the pool of talent that we get at the club, and the decision that Lloyd made, obviously a lot of other clubs wouldn't have the kind of opportunity to do that too often, and I'm sure like JB would probably be one of the first to like put his hands up and say that he completely understood that decision. But there are so many like young guys that knock on the door, and if you've because I remember that's how I got my chance when I was younger. Like I think the league was almost wrapped up in the ones, and it's almost like, well, one of the guys can miss out for the last couple of games, and we'll give one of the youngsters a go. So, it's not Lloyd didn't do the wrong thing, and it is extremely tough. But I think it's just because it's a unique position that we're in at Bath, with the amount of talent there is. But it's always hard. It's always hard.
When you're in charge of those decisions as well, there's a couple of things that people don't quite understand. Is that number one, you feel the disappointment for the other bloke, as much as they do, because you don't want to be the one making those decisions. But then also, when you're captain, if you pay your subs, you pay your membership, you turn up and you play every Saturday, you want to win the game. And some people want to win more than others, but nobody wants to win as much as the captain. And it's very difficult, I think, to try and sort of put that to one side and still get the best out of your players. Something I really struggle with doing. So, if things started to go wrong, I always tried to fix it myself and didn't call on all the great players that I had around me. And I was definitely not the best man manager. Mounty, you've got in your side real blend of characters.
Yeah.
Pros, ex-pros. You've got obviously, Tom Hankins in there as well, who's a great player, but he can be sort of difficult to manage at times. I mean, how do you sort of find a way to cope with managing people?
I think that one thing that had helped me massively is that I'd been in the environment for probably since I was 19, so I think it was 26 when I did it. So I've been in the side for 7 years before I took on the job. So I was comfortable with everyone in the side, and it was other than Tom, Muchie, and Greg and AK. I was probably the oldest person in the team. So I think it helped knowing that I spoke a lot to Greg and Muchie. Obviously got way more knowledge of the game than me, and then the younger guys would just sort of follow suit. Ultimately, if people like Greg or Muchie or AK would lead by example, that's that they'd follow that. And I think the other bonus that I certainly had, and probably a lot of you guys as well, is that when you've got people like Kegsy, like Muchie, and even the younger guys who are coming through, especially from a bowling perspective, you say to them, right, what do you want? And they're experienced enough and good enough to say, right, this is how I'm going to bowl. This is the field I want. And most of the time they'll pull it off, and there's rarely a conversation you have to have where it's say, no, look, this is what we're going with, because of the quality of people we're playing with.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, much as you said, has got a wealth of experience. But what's it like, having someone like him on the field in terms of, as he coaches the side, so he has a lot of input. How you're prepared and things like that. I mean, do you guys work together on the field, or does he kind of take a bit of a backseat?
I mean, we were, because me and Muchie are good mates, and I think it helps that we're quite differing personalities. I'm quite laid back, and he won't mind me saying this, he's very full on. But he was very clear that off the pitch, we spoke to each other about the start of the season. So off the pitch, he's the head coach, he'll do training, X, Y, Z, work with all the players. On the pitch, if I wanted input from him, I'd go to him. And to be fair, throughout the whole season, that worked pretty well. I think there was one night I drove him home after we lost to Potton. I think we didn't chase 160, and I drove him home, and he had a few beers, and he blew up at me in the car because I just started dating my now girlfriend, and he said, "Oh, you don't care anymore, mate. It's now you got missus, you don't care."
The ball and chain.
Well done.
Yeah. But I mean, to be fair, other than that, we had a real good relationship, and I think we sort of on the pitch, it didn't encroach into him running the team. It was quite well structured.
I mean, if you're putting your personal life ahead of Bath CC, it's not really acceptable.
Yeah, can I just clarify that was a false accusation, and that wasn't the case. I very much care about the club, as I do my girlfriend as well. But
what is this? It's gone silent. What's her name, man? We'll give her a shout out. Charlotte, if you're listening, obviously Sam loves you very much, but
She's definitely not listening.
So it's obviously on the field. Then things can get difficult in a tight situation. When you're in the field, trying to prevent the other team from chasing down things get tight. JT, I'll come to you first. How do you think, as a captain, sort of projecting yourself, trying to deal with that situation?
I think, like as Mounty said, with the group of guys that you've got on the pitch, like everybody responds. Like that's the beauty of it. I think I know you asked us to do a little bit of prep for this call, but I remember in fact, you were there watching when we played. What was the team from Hampshire?
Was it Hastings?
Yeah.
Hastings, yeah, in the cup.
In the cup. And it was a classic national knockout game. We didn't get enough runs, and it's like, we're really going to have to fight for every single run. But I don't know what it is, like those kinds of run chases, everybody like switches on, and everyone just knows that, there's no like shouting at someone because they're just going through the motions in the field or chatting to someone on the boundary. Every single person is switched on. So I don't know if there's ever been like a game where we're still in it and you've got to like fire people up and wake people up, and unless Lloyd's bowling and he's just gone for like 15 and he's kicking his hat down to fine leg, I think most part it's pretty easy. I found anyway, but I didn't. To be fair, I don't think I had too many. That game being the main one, and then when we lost to East Grinstead as well, trying to because we actually finished really strong that game and trying to reduce the total they got in the end. But apart from that, I think all the close games we had when I was captain, we were actually chasing rather than in the field having to make those decisions of who to bowl and all that kind of stuff. I think the Hastings game was the only one where it was a bit touch and go.
I guess when you're on the field, it's a lot easier to kind of stay in the moment. I mean, I suppose if you're up in the captaincy was the worst thing for me because I could never. I was terrible watcher. Never watched it. If we were in a tight game that meant something, I was somewhere else, like walking around.
You loved a lap.
Laps of Bath, Foster, Ealing. I did. I was walking around Blackheath, like dog walking park in 2015. It's terrible. I can't do it. But yeah, Lloydie, you're a pretty emotional guy. I'm sure you don't mind saying. Do you find it difficult to kind of keep your emotions intact when you're captain?
I thought it was something that I definitely got better at over the 3 seasons in the role. It's difficult when you're captain, you want to set the tone and you're opening the bowling. And I actually, even though we tended to do better batting first, I quite liked bowling first and chasing runs. I just like having the game there in front of me and know what we need to do. But wanting to set the tone and run in and bowl and have Kegsy at the other end and not let him down, because he's not going to let you down as the best bowler in West Ball history. And so working as a pair, opening the bowling, and then having to get your captaincy head on was the most was quite challenging. And especially if I didn't get it right with the ball, I'd be chunking away at myself, and I'd always go, hang on a minute, I've got to get these other 10 guys in the right place here for the benefit of the team. So that's something that I had to learn over the first season, definitely, and I felt a lot more in control in the second and third season. However, I do have a funny anecdote from a 2020 game, which I was going to bring up when you talk about 90 facing 350 odd, and how difficult captaincy can be at times. But we obviously get good crowds in to watch games down at North Parade, and I was fielding myself down at Long Off at the road end, and there was one of the city's homeless community had come down for the afternoon or for the morning. It was one of the triangular ones, T20 thing, and we're getting a bit of a tank in. The team they're going at like 12 and over off the first 8, And this guy turns to me, and I'm sort of scratching my head, and I'm not shouting, and I'm not changing the field too much. I'm just going with a bit of a plan. And this boy turns to me, and goes, "Are we allowed to swear on this, lady?"
No.
Oh. He goes, "Oh." He goes, "Who the captain of this team? He ain't got a clue what he's doing." I'd put square leg out and bring fine leg in. So I go, okay, stop the bowler, move square leg to keep square, bring fine leg into the circle. The bloke goes to do a paddle sweep, gets caught on the ring. So next batter comes in, I trot back there, go in the circle, and the boys are going, good fielding, change skip, good fielding. I go, I just had a hunch, boys. Anyway, next batter comes in, I jog back down to the boundary. I said, what do you reckon here? To the left-hander, what do you think? And he goes, oh, you definitely, you stay where you are, but you don't need long off, you need mid off, make him go over the top first ball. So, all right, yeah, no worries. So spring mid off, fine leg back. He goes to go over the top, caught on the end of the ring. Change the game. A homeless bloke at the field. Brilliant. So, take help from wherever you can get it would be some advice that I picked up along the way.
Remember Taunton Dean at 2015, really?
Do I remember Taunton Dean when we won the league?
This was the game where we batted first, scored a few runs, and then things hadn't gone the way you wanted at the start of the innings, so you ended up throwing a massive salt and fielding at third man for the rest of the game.
I remember watching that.
No, boys, I'm not doing it.
I was captain.
Who's going to bowl next then? He was down in front of the scorebox, sulking with Polly Rhodes.
I might have, mate. I might have.
Tuned it out. So obviously, like we between us, we played a lot of games for Bath. Do any games sort of stand out for you guys in all competitions as being ones that were particularly special from a personal point of view, or just being part of it, or for whatever reason? Well, just what you're thinking on that. Like, for me, obviously, a lot of games come up, and I think that's probably the reason why I started this podcast in the first place, so we could talk about them. But the two that really stuck out to me is Sully in 2009 and Rocky in 2015. Both national knockout games. I guess they get stick out more than others, just being unbelievable games of cricket. I suppose from a league point of view, Magsy and I chatted about this in episode 6, but the win against Leicester in the league in 2011, you and Baz got us off to that amazing start, taking 220 off. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll go GJC, nice sort of segue. Any games count more than others?
I think the cup stuff really started for me when that whole Ealing year.
Mm-hmm.
That was a class year. Another memory of that year. I'm pretty sure it was that year. Did we play Cardiff in the first round?
Yeah.
Matthew Maynard kept hitting it through cover.
Because isn't that the game that Pledgey came back to play?
Yeah.
He won us the game. So I remember, if it was that year, I remember phoning him, saying like, "Do you fancy a game?" Who was captain? Was Statey captain?
Statey.
Thorby was. I remember phoning Pledgey saying, "Fancy a game?" Because we must have been really short. And he got 50 odd, didn't he? And we won the game. And so yeah, that little run that year, because was that the Warminster game as well?
Yeah, that was the same year.
Yeah, so like I think that whole cup run that year was insane on and off the pitch.
Thorby, obviously, given his current role, was closed lips about the post-match ahead.
Oh,
Yes, as two former Bath players, you two could probably give us a little bit of insight as to what happened on that bank holiday Sunday after we'd seen off Warminster in Headovers or whatever it was.
I think I actually stayed at Lloyd's house that night, because I remember we went in the next morning together, And I was like, I'm not going in the club. I was hiding in the car, and you were like, oh, all right, I'll go and apologise on behalf of both of us.
I just remember walking up the ramp to the clubhouse and Mark Kingwell being stood by the doors to the, and he if looks could kill, that's me gone. Finishing at Warminster at like 3:30 on a bank holiday Sunday afternoon was never going to end well. And what do we all have? A written warning, £35 fine.
So what was it? It was muffins getting thrown.
It was all worth it. I remember going to the toilet, and as I opened the door, the corridor of the toilets, everyone's lined up against the bar with muffins and Mars bars. And do you remember that Lucasade drinks thing there used to be near the food window? I remember picking the top off like a shield and just and then diving behind one of the sofas. And it kind of, I think Greenie went into there were some sandwiches left over from the game that had been on at North Parade that day and brought them out. And Dom Farris, this is the first memory I've got of that night. Dom Farris just went up and kind of fisted the tray underneath Greenie, and the sandwiches just exploded everywhere. And then it just went downhill from there. But when you've got the coach and the captain leading the charge on the bar, with the only member of staff hiding locked himself in the little side room with the CCTV camera, you know it's going to be a good night.
Was that before or after Thorby beat you?
What's that?
Was that before or after Thorby beat you up in second grade?
I don't know. I think that was a different occasion.
Do you want to talk us through that one quickly? Because he wouldn't give us much on that incident.
That was a cheap shot, wasn't it? Everyone knows it's a cheap shot.
What was the line? What was the line as he had you on the floor?
Shit, I can't remember.
You've had this coming.
Something about it. It's because I ripped his favourite.
Some bleeping respect.
He had ripped my T-shirt or something, and then I got his black. He had a nice black shirt on, and I ripped all the buttons off it. And I thought that was it. I thought it was kind of a truce, and then no, it wasn't. But good times. What about the time what about the other time in Second Bridge when he didn't come off so well?
I just remember Helen sort of 6 months sitting on the back of an ambulance, like holding an ice pack. Thorby, I apologise. I know we said we weren't going to go.
I love your thoughts.
Listen, no one's listening, so it doesn't matter.
Well, exactly.
Mounty, for you, what games stick out for you?
To be fair, I think any like personal, like any time I do well in a game, we lose. Right. So they never really stick out. I mean, obviously, my first 100 at North Parade was good, but I think this is one of your favourites as well. I just think you didn't mention it because you're too modest, but that Sunbury game, and that cut run. Because I think that we chased 250, 8 down, and you obviously batted through and got 100 odds, not out. And I remember Brownie, like he played his like standard uppercut.
Great shot.
Hit it over point, and I remember being up on the balcony, and just everyone just absolutely going berserk. And I think it was only the last 16, and I think we. I don't know what year that was, but everyone just went absolutely bonkers because I think they won it the year before, or they got to the final or something like that.
They paid themselves, I think.
Yeah, and they had a good side.
There's two things about that game that stick out for me. The first one is, I know we spoke about this recently on social media. The conversation we had in the middle, Mounty was batting 7, and we got to about 1-5 with loads of time left. And I was down to the other end and said, Mounty, mate, we're bossing this. We're way ahead of the game. Let's just bat to 40 overs. If we only score another 10 or 15 runs, it doesn't matter. Just grind it down, they'll lose. And you just look back at them, you're like, yeah, no problem, mate. And the next ball, you just slammed it straight down. deep Cal's throat. Oh, what are you doing, Mango? The other part of that game was something that you said to us at half time, Lloydie. Because I remember we came off the field and they had a guy that had 3 for 90 odd, and someone had said like, "Oh, he's chewed up too many balls. That's going to cost him." And I remember you just saying to all of us, "Look, let's not treat this like a normal cup case. Let's just go at them. Let's just everyone go in, just go at them. We'll just keep going at them, and we'll just back ourselves. And if we get runs, we get them, and if we don't, we don't." And it's not. No one had ever sort of really sort of put things into that context in a national chase. Because whenever you're chasing runs, usually around 170, 190, 111, it's always nervy and horrible, and you don't want to make a mistake. And just I think certainly. And I remember I think you hit your second ball into the road for 6, and it was just like a statement, and everyone just came in and did the same thing. So maybe I'm being a little bit harsh on you, Nancy, but
yeah, I'm just following captain. I think you were captain at the time, weren't you, Lloyd? Just following orders.
So
absolutely.
Talking about
They'd come to us like 3 weekends running, hadn't they? And we've been washed out on
second weekend in a row because we got rained out the week before.
They were one of the best sides we played against in our time in the national. They were good. That was a good game.
Yeah,
it's a captaincy episode. We're talking about captaincy, and I think it's not always the field placing. It's not always the selection. I mean, sometimes it's those little inputs from a captain can make all the difference. I mean, I don't know whether that game would have gone differently, had you not said that or not. But I think it gave everyone a bit of extra confidence. Lloydie, what about you, mate?
So a couple from me. I know it's obviously the National Knockout podcast, but there's a league game that I remember really well in my first year as captain, away at Downend, and Timmy Rice and George Hankins as young teenagers put on 220 odd, chasing. I think we were 0 for 2. They knocked it off.
I've got a different. Yeah, so I was away. I was in the States. So for 2.
I think I opened that day with Reece Croker and Ben Briggs.
Yeah, that's the one. I remember that game.
I'm pretty sure the Jacksons had them from each end. We were nothing for 2. And then go Timmy and George with 2 teenagers at 3 and 4, and Captain Davis has got Padrack at 5. Didn't go in, and we chased 235 or 240. And I just remember watching those 2 kids back for me, and I'm like, yeah, that's just awesome. And then when you're captain and you back 2 youngsters to go in and bat ahead of some senior boys in the team, and they do the business, it makes you feel even more proud, really. So yeah, that's one league game I remember. I'm pretty sure everyone would have covered the national games that we can recall, but yeah, Sully at home will live with me. Probably because I've had a couple of battles whilst I was at Timsbury with Sully in the National Village Knockout, and so to beat them at our place was pretty sweet in the manner that we did with my best teammate AK, with him getting us over the line. Yeah, that's a special day.
When you played in that final with Timsbury, forgive me because I genuinely can't remember. But did you guys win the final or not? I can't remember.
No, we lost.
But what's the difference like then in terms of intensity and what is it like making a young kid as the national?
Yeah, pint at tea.
The skill level was massively different, especially when you start getting to the last 16, the quarterfinals, the semi-finals. You can't compare the 2 competitions whatsoever. The prize, though, makes you do funny things. Like the National Village Knockout is still the final, still at Lords, always has been, and to have that when you get to those later stages of the competition in the Village Cup, that's your prize. Every cricketer's dream to play at home of cricket. That adds a little bit more to the competition. I think the national lost its way a little bit when it when the final was played at Bristol and was played up at Chester Street, and you kind of like,
Road
what,
derby.
the
Yeah.
derby, yeah. I mean, that was something that actually when we lost the quarter final, we lost the semi final at Blackheath, which hurt because they weren't really a team as such, whether they were just a group of blokes who were paid a lot of money to play for that season. But where was the final that year? Was that a derby? And kind of like
Yeah.
gutting not to have got to a national final, but
You know,
yeah, if it was at Lords, that would have hurt.
that Blackheath game, when I think back to the opportunities that were mixed, I don't really think about that one as being one of them. It, like they had a really good side. It was a weird day. Obviously you pulled up injured after an over, which was like a massive blow to us. But it felt like we weren't the best side on the whereas, I think that was things like Spencer in that semi-final, or when we lost to Ealing in 2010 under Stacey at home, and you and me were going really well back in first over, and I did a Mountie and whacked them down.
Yeah.
Happens to the best of us.
And,
that was
I
dirty.
think about those games more than that Blackheath game. I don't know about you. But JC, Mountie, Lloydie, you've gone one step further than the South Mountie. But what was I always used to think that the worst day of the year is the day you get knocked out of the national. From a captain's point, I mean, three of us have all tasted defeat in an away quarter final. JC, what are your memories from that day?
Well, I remember turning up and looking at the pitch and thinking, "Oh my god!" Like, it was like the I don't know, best way to describe it. It was concrete, but it didn't actually play. As it looked, and I think we were all disappointed that we lost the toss. And it's one of those days where just nothing in the first 10 overs, absolutely nothing went our way. AK was, who was it? Adkin, wasn't it? They got. Do you remember Will Adkin?
Yeah.
And
he got 90, I think.
Yeah, Harry Hankins dropped him, didn't he?
Yeah. That's probably the one game I got 9 overs in as well. So thanks, JC.
Yeah. Well, I remember it was like that was a game actually where I did have to think outside the box a little bit because we didn't get any luck, and then I think we reverted to like Mountie. You bowled well. I remember Greeny bowled like really well. And I think maybe Lloyd, your second spell maybe because I think your first spell.
Patched it up second spell.
Lloyd was still bowling 2 spells in those days, was he?
I don't think your first spell lasted long.
No. One over count as a spell.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember why, but then I think they were on for a massive total, and to reduce them to whatever we did, to 20 or whatever it was, I think we were quite happy at the break, and then we just didn't start very well, and there were glimpses. Like I think, unlike you, Robin, I'm probably overconfident and positive all the time. Like I know whenever we talk, when England are losing at rugby, I'm always texting saying, it's fine, we've got it in the bag, and it's the same on the cricket pitch. I'm always confident, and there were glimpses in that. I remember probably the best I've ever seen in bat. Padge played really well that day. Thought someone's going to win us the game here, and in the end we weren't that far away. But as you say, like the moment you kind of realise that. That's it. I think everyone. Well, I know there were two coaches that day. I remember, and some of the lads who felt like it went on the fun bus, and then
that was a good journey.
Went on the other, and I remember being on the other one with Colonel Mags, and it was just like I just didn't want to talk or anything like that. I was really disappointed.
That's a nice little segue into the journey home after a national knockout game.
Oh, so far as well.
My first memory of a bus home from a national game was 2005. We went to Bridgewater, and the journey back is now notorious. Ben Staunton and Tom Hankins were very much the wings for what went on. Needless to say, I don't think I'll need to get into too many details. But when we got back to the club, James Brown tried to walk home from Salford. The bus was ruined, and a couple of days later, we all got a first and final warning from the Cricket Club for our conduct on the journey home. But there have been some belters. I mean, obviously Roffy, courtesy of you and your animation skills, Lloyd, went on a bit longer. Talk us through some of your. Well, what's your favourite running home, Lloydie, after a big game?
Roffy was got to be up there. The fact that Naked Fun Bus had an extra 90 minutes. Really, Magsy was knackered. It was such a hot day. That was one of the hottest days he's played on, and he's just been walking around the boundary and not drinking anything. And then he had to drive us all home. We're all naked, we're all singing, we're all absolutely smashed. And he's like, right, we can't miss the turn off the A303. No, it's the next one. We ended up nearly in Exeter. It was scary how far we went.
Well,
and then for Seb to come back, get off the bus.
Oh, amazing.
One more song, and Ella's been in the car park for 2.5 hours.
Everyone Benton.
So poor Maggie was so annoyed on the drive home. He lost the plot by the stage that we got to my stop, and I was living in Holcombe, and we went up past Downside School, which is literally it's like a 1-minute detour to the right, and he was like, No, F off, get out the bus. I stumble out holding a 3-pack, sort of phone soap who was 9 months pregnant to sort of get in and drive down at 2 in the morning to pick me up from Downside. But Rocky, obviously legendary. Mountie, what was it like coming back from Nantwich last year?
Yeah, Nantwich was good. I mean, just on Roffy, that was probably the best day I've had as a 12th man, to be fair. That bus journey was unbelievable. But yeah, Nantwich was good. It was because it wasn't one of those days where we had a minibus and crammed everyone in. We had a big old coach, and it was we had supporters on there as well, and a few parents and stuff like that. But it was, by the end of it, because it was a good 4-hour trek. And to be fair, the club had laid on a load of booze for us, and it was more that we'd been knocked out 2 cups, I think, in successive weekends, and travelled so many miles. But all the lads were just like, right, we've had a bloody good season. Everyone was getting on so well. We were such close bunch that I think Greg Hay did an unbelievable karaoke performance. Magsy got up and was singing Last Christmas in the middle of August. And I still remember getting off the bus and Harry Roberts and Greg Hay just stood toe to toe, just trading shots, having a proper little go at each other. But yeah, that one, I think it's not quite on Roffy's level, but that was seeing that, having just lost, but yeah, all the boys enjoying themselves like that was definitely up there.
JC, what about you?
I don't think I've had any bus journeys on the way back from cup games, to be fair. When we beat Ealing.
Warrington.
Warrington was good.
Warrington. I don't really remember that.
Like Max O'Leary and...
I remember the picture, me and you, Lloyd, because we went into that newsagent to get some beverages.
Drinking warm Smirnoff Ices on the way out.
Yeah. Warrington was who are you texting?
Which journey was it? Where had we played when we stopped off at Mike and Mandy Rowe's house?
I remember that.
Last game of
that was Taunton Dean when when we all dressed up, and Joe Dorgan was drinking a Thatcher's on the way down in the morning.
Yeah, because we'd won the league the year before. The week before at Caution.
We declared, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. So that was the game. We talked about this with Magsy a couple of weeks ago. That was the game when you and Staunch were trying to run each other out. Shot the run.
And
I dropped a really hard chance at point.
Oh, mate, don't listen, Lloyd. This came up in an episode somewhere. We were talking about your grab at Ealing and how unlikely it was to have come from the same bloke who has dropped some of the worst drops I've ever seen. Calling St Andrews.
St Andrews for Davo's Pfeiffer.
Oh, God. Poor
Yeah,
bloke.
he's never forgiven me either.
That was incredible.
And it's, I guess that's all part of, playing for a successful club is having those journeys. And we're going to have to sort of bring this to a bit of a close, guys. And I'll end with you, man. He obviously is the guy who's in charge. Last year, obviously, second place in the league, quarterfinals in the national, quarterfinals in the 2020, and you guys made a quarterfinal in the Somerset Cup as well. Only to be knocked out by Broome. We went.
Can I just say I was actually dropped for that game, so.
Obviously, on the face of it, any club in the country would, they would say that that's an amazing season. The amount of games that you won, the amount of big games that you played in. For you, does it feel like a successful season? And then, going forward, whenever it is that we play another game of cricket, whether it's this year or next year, what's number one goal for you, Captain?
I think on last year, on the face of it, looking at it, was I disappointed not to win a competition? Yes, 100%. But I think as the season drew to a close and speaking to people after, you sort of begin to realise that, that the club is about more than just winning a league trophy. Don't get me wrong, we should be, in the mix every season, and I was desperate to win it. But what I took from last year was actually, I think, just a real good sort of group of guys, real good culture who actually just all want to be a part of, the same journey. And obviously, the seconds winning the league was massive for us. We're the first club to have two teams in the top two divisions. So I think from a wider perspective, looking back on it, actually, I'm really, really happy with last year. This season, whether it's this year or next year, we don't know. Obviously, winning the league, we haven't won it in a couple of years. That's the sort of main goal for us. But while making sure that the seconds do well in their league as well, and we just sort of maintain what we've sort of started to create as a bit of a club culture again.
Brilliant. Well, listen, good luck with that, mate. Hopefully. We might be singing this at some point in a couple of weeks' time.
Let's hope so. JC, you got to do the intro.
No.
You got to do the intro.
Guys, thank you so much for giving up time tonight. It's a lot of fun to catch up, and obviously by the time this goes out, we don't know what kind of situation we're all going to be in. We've done 8 episodes. It's been a hell of a lot of fun catching up with some old friends and going over some old classics. I think going forward, obviously we'll see where we are in a few weeks' time and see if maybe we can put together a couple more episodes. As I said, we've got a Just Giving page. We've got a target of 500 quid. I think as of April the 22nd, we're up to about £110. So if we can hit that target, then we can be doing a rival special. At the moment, the vote is with Bridgewater, which will be a great podcast. We've had a hell of a lot of things on them over the years. So got a couple of special guests on for that. So if you listened and you've enjoyed it, please put something on the Just Giving page. I'll put a link in the description. And hope you're safe and well. Thanks a lot, and we'll